Hare Krishna. My name is Navani-Hoda Das. I am a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj. Currently, I am in America. I'm from America, and I joined Krishna consciousness in 2020. I grew up Christian. I never thought I would be chanting Hare Krishna on Chapamala. I never thought I would be even following the four regular principles. But by devotees' mercy, I'm here. So I grew up Christian. My family, they weren't so serious. They would go to church, for like holidays and, Easter, stuff like that. But I didn't take spirituality seriously until I was in college. One time, when I was in college, I was suffering like anything. Like everything that could go wrong could go wrong. Everything. Pretty much, I got in a fight with my best friend, like a physical fight. The girl that I talked to found out she was cheating on me. It was just so much distress, and I couldn't understand why. And suddenly a thought popped in my mind. My grandmother told me when I was 5 years old, she told me, son, anytime you're in distress, sit down and pray. And for some reason, that thought just popped in my mind, because I never used to pray so much, actually. But it didn't, when I was suffering that time in college, I just sat there and I just prayed to God, please, I'm suffering, please help me. So eventually I started going to church every Sunday faithfully. And then I was reading the Bible and I was like, this is good, but what is the kingdom of God like? I was reading the Bible, it talked about the kingdom of God. It was talking about, God. And I was like, okay, this is really nice, but where are the details? I want to know what heaven is like. I want to know what God looks like. And I couldn't find it in the Bible. So I started, studying other things, ancient Egyptology. And then I came across this book on Buddhism. And I fell in love with the Buddhist principles of like meditation, karma, reincarnation. It's all foreign topics, but I loved it because I never was exposed to any of this growing up, that, you can get rid of your karma. I never even knew of such a thing. So I was practicing Buddhism faithfully. It's funny because I was a big pot smoker. I used to smoke pot, so much weed I used to smoke. So when I came across Buddhism, I came across a philosophy that supported me smoking pot, but also being spiritual. So I used to smoke some weed and then meditate. Thinking I was some advanced yogi, like thinking, I've liberated my mind, but it's all illusion. Anyways, I was doing that for some time. And then one day, cut story, pretty much, after college, I decided to go to law school. I applied to some law schools in DC, and I got accepted into Howard Law. It's in DC. It's a District of Columbia. It's the capital of America. So I thought, wow, I made it, materially successful. I got into a nice school in the capital of America. So, 1 month before I was supposed to go to, it's like 2 months before I was supposed to go to law school, I went to a park and to meditate, just relax. And then when I was in the park, I saw these saffron men chanting and with shaved heads. And I thought they were Buddhists because, I saw what I was accustomed to at the time. All I knew was Buddhism. So I walked up to them. Actually, I looked at Navani-Hoda Prabhu and Navani-Hoda Prabhu looked at me. And it was like mutual. We both kind of like walked towards each other because, he was trying to sell me books. And I was interested because I was like, okay, who are you? I walked up to Navani-Hoda Prabhu. I said, are you Buddhist? And then he said, no, we're better than the Buddhists. It's so bold, it's like, and I was intrigued. I was like, really? Better than the Buddhists? He said, well, Hare Krishnas. I said, oh, okay, I've never heard of that. What is that? He said, I want to give you one thing. He said, I have some books in my car. Just wait. I'll give you the books. Give me your number and I'll give you the books. I said, okay. So I gave him Mahotsabu my number and I went, down to the park. He called me. He said, I got these books for you. I read the books and immediately I was so attracted. These books are so attractive. I saw the science of self-realization, nectar of instruction. It was beautiful. I was like, wow, it was a bhakta stack and it was 4 books. And I was looking at it like, wow, this is the most beautiful set of books I've ever seen. So immediately the next day I started reading the books immediately. It was funny because the first book I read was Nectar of Instruction. And I read Nectar, like I said, at that time, I was smoking pot heavy spot smoker, smoking like 2-3 joints a day, maybe more. So I read in the first part of the Nectar of Instruction in the first verse, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Kroda Vegam, Prabhupada writes that a devotee of Krishna gives up all illicit activities, and Prabhupada names all these things that devotees give up. He said devotees give up, alcohol. I was like, okay, yeah, I don't smoke. I don't drink alcohol. That's fine. They give up like PCP. I was like, oh, I don't do that. They give up acid, all this other stuff. I was like, oh, that's just fine. And it said, and the devotee also does not smoke marijuana. And I was like, what? We can't smoke marijuana? Because in my mind, I thought marijuana was spiritual. So I read that. I said, no, this is nonsense. I threw the book down. I put the book down, I put it in the shelf. I said, this is not for me. I said, this is not for me. I'm going to go back to Buddhism. So yeah, I wasn't into Christian consciousness off the simple fact that I couldn't smoke weed and be a devotee. So then I think a couple of days later, Mahotsabu texted me saying, come to our Sunday program. We have a Sunday program. It's a free feast, vegetarian feast. And I wasn't into the philosophy, but, I was going to law school. I was a little bored. I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. It's a feast. It's free. Might as well just check it out. So I go to the program, the Sunday program, and immediately when I come to the door, even before I knock on the door, Mahotsabu comes out. He says, oh my, good to see you. And he gives me a big hug. And I was like, it's so shocking because in the West, it's like, he's a stranger to me, but he acted as if I knew him for like lifetimes. They gave me a big hug. He invited me to the program. I was like, okay, this is nice, friendly. And then they were chanting Bhagavad Gita slokas. In the beginning of Sunday program, they, call and response chanting Bhagavad Gita. So they're chanting the Bhagavad Gita sloka for the Sunday program. And I thought, this is strange. I never heard this language, They're chanting this weird language. And then he gave a nice class, actually. Krishna Devotee gave a nice class. And then it came to Kirtan. They were chanting Hare Krishna. And by that, I was like completely just like not interested. Actually, I was more averse because I never heard this mantras chant. And I thought this must be some devil chant. Because I grew up Christian. I was like, I don't know what this is. So during Kirtan, I was not chanting. I was just looking around quiet. They're like, chant Hare Krishna chant. I was like, no, I'm not chanting. I think I danced a little bit. I danced because I like to dance, but I don't think I chanted. So, and then prasadam came. So by this time, I'm like little like uneasy about, yes, they're cool people, but I don't think I'll take up the process seriously. I don't know. And then by the time prasadam came, I got a big plate, with rice, dal, chapati, sabji. And I tried a little bit of the rice and dal. I'm like, oh, wow, this is pretty good. And I had some of the sabji. I think it's paneer sabji. I was like, wow, I never had this before. This is amazing. And then when I had the halava and the sweet rice, I was sold. I was like, this is the best meal I've ever had in my life. I became vegetarian that day. I told myself, I've never had a meal this amazing before. So that day I told myself, I'm not eating meat again. Meat can never come close to the taste I had that day. So when I walked outside the house of the ashram of the Sunday program, I told you I used to smoke a lot of weed. So when I walked outside the house, I actually felt like I was like high, but it was a different type of high. It was like a spiritual high. And I remember looking at the tree and I remember looking at just nature. I'm like, wow, Like, this is just amazing. Like, and for some reason, I was getting all these thoughts about Krishna. Like, this is, this is Krishna's tree. I was just, it was a really mystical experience, actually. Like, Krishna gave me a whole bunch of like mercy in the beginning because he knew I needed it to come in. So then immediately I was sold. I was like, yes, this is the highest thing. This is it. This is what I've been looking for. So I started reading the books more, and I read Nectar Instruction. I read Krishna book, amazing book. I was reading it every day faithfully. So long story short, this is all literally right before I went to law school. So fast forward, I go to law school, and there's some devotees in DC, but they're not as serious as the Christian life devotees. So, I would go to the temple. I would I would take an Uber to the temple. I would spend like maybe like $40, 20, 30, $40 almost every day to go to the temple when I was in DC at law school, because the prasadam. It was the prasadam. I loved the prasadam. I was like, this is the best thing ever. I would literally make any endeavor just to go to the temple to get this prasadam. It was amazing. Every time I took it, and then the thing is, when I first met the devotees at Christian Life, they didn't have, deities. They just had pictures, right? So then when I went to DC temple, they had deities, and I saw Gaura Nitai. I was like, wow, this is amazing. These are so beautiful. So the deities hooked me, the prasadam hooked me. And however, I was still struggling in my Christian consciousness because I didn't have so much association. Although I was going to the temple, the thing is, I was going to the temple in DC. However, because the temple is a lot of Indians, and it was hard for me to kind of mesh with them because it's a different culture. So although I was at the temple, I was feeling very alone there. So it was hard for me to follow the four regs, because I didn't really have anybody pushing me, and I didn't have the best association when I was studying in law school in DC. So yeah, I was a big rascal. I was chanting. I would chant like some japa, but then I would still smoke weed, and I would still party, because you understand, law school, especially in America, people, it's like some prestigious thing. So everybody wanted to hang out with me. Every guy wanted to be my friend. Every girl wanted to be my girlfriend. Everybody wanted to party with me. And here I know the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. I know I shouldn't be doing this, right? But at the same time, I didn't have any association. The best association was in Atlanta, Georgia, in another whole nother state, another city. So I said, what the hell? In my mind, I was thinking, you know what? I'm gonna just get this out of my system. I'm gonna just whatever, be a rascal, because I know Krishna will purify me. This, for those watching, this is not smart. If you find Krishna consciousness, just stick to it. Don't waste your time just being a Maya. I wasted a lot of time being in Maya. I went through a lot of suffering. Actually, I remember one instance that's coming to my mind. It was Halloween, 2021, 2022. I think it's 2021 Halloween. And in my room, I had a picture of Krishna, and then under Krishna, I had a picture of Mahavishnu. I don't know why I had a picture. Oh yeah, because I read in Krishna book that Mahavishnu can give liberation. I was like, oh cool. So I printed out a picture of Mahavishnu. I put it on my wall, and then I had a buddy come over for Halloween, and he looked at. He knew I was really spiritual. I was into God consciousness stuff. He looked at a picture of Mahavishnu. He said, "What is that?" And I said, "Oh, that's Vishnu." He said, "You're telling me this is God?" Because Mahavishnu has like 4 arms, and universe is coming out of him. He's like, "This is God," and I was like, "Yeah." So then I could tell he became very envious. This was like one of my best friends in law school, and I could tell she started to become envious. And then that same night, he I didn't really drink so much. Even as a karmi, I didn't like to drink so much. So he poured me a big shot of some alcohol. And okay, I had a bookshelf, and then that's pretty much like, it was like a bookshelf, but it was like my altar. and then I put like pictures of Krishna above that bookshelf. So what he did was he poured a shot of some alcohol and he put it in the bookshelf and he said, drink that. And I'm looking at Krishna, I'm looking at the alcohol, and I'm like, I can't do it. Because it was, although I was a rascal, I told myself I would not drink in my own apartment. I won't smoke in my apartment because I try to treat my apartment like a temple, more or less. I was like, I can't drink in my temple. I can't drink here. So he put it on the bookshelf on my altar. He said, drink it. In my mind, I'm thinking, I can't do that. I told him, I'm not drinking that. And he literally told me this. He said, you need to be more humble. He said, you think you're better than everybody because, you don't like to drink and all this other stuff and you believe in God. He said, you need to humble yourself. And I told him, actually, I am being humble by not drinking this. But then the reason why I cite that, because that night I realized that these people don't have my best interests. These friends at my law school that I thought I had, they didn't have my best interests. Although they would invite me out, they would do stuff for me, pay stuff for me, whatever. I realized these people were rascals, So I became disenchanted gradually associating with my classmates. And then while I was in law school, by the mercy of His Holiness Bhakti Vikasa Swami, he went on this Europe Yatra in 2022. And he went to different Shravana Kirtan camps in Croatia and Czech Republic. I had the great fortune of going to Europe and being with Maharaj and traveling, just going to different camps. And by the end of that, I decided I'm going to chant 60 rounds and follow the 4X. I don't care if I don't have any association in DC. I'm going to try my best. I took shelter in Guru Maharaj that trip. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with this material association. So for almost a year and a half, maybe more, I was by myself practicing Krishna consciousness. No association. I will Uber. It was the most suffering time of my life. Why? Because at law school, I cut off all my friends at law school, so I had no association at law school. I went to the temple, but because I still come from this Western background, the devotees at the temple, the Indian body, they didn't want to associate with me either. So I was alone. I was alone at law school. I was alone at the temple. But you know what I did? I took shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. I said, you know what? I'm going to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And I would read like 2-3 hours a day. I would wake up early. I would chant my rounds. I'll go to class and I would just read Bhagavatam all day. And it was the most blissful experience. Krishna is in the pages of the Bhagavatam because when you fully surrender to Krishna, he will reveal himself through the pages of the Bhagavatam. And I felt that. I felt the reciprocation. And I felt that feeling when I first ate prasadam that first day. When I went at the ashram, when I first, went to the ashram, met the devotees, had prasadam, that feeling, that higher taste I got, I was getting that every day by reading Bhagavatam. So I was like, wow, this Bhagavatam is amazing. So I would read faithfully every day. I wouldn't talk to anybody. So then after I graduated from law school, I was thinking, what I could work, I could be a lawyer in DC, or I could be a brahmachari in Atlanta. The devotees are in Atlanta. And I figured, why not? Why not be a brahmachari? What am I have to lose? What do I have to lose by being a brahmachari? I've actually have nothing but to gain by being a brahmachari. So I graduated law school and I became a monk. Everybody was shocked. They're like, bro, what are you? All my friends like, what are you doing? You're like, you have all this debt. You went to law school. You have the opportunity to make a lot of money, and you want to be a sadhu. You want to be a monk. You want to be a renunciate. I said, yeah, I do. And yeah, I became a monk after I graduated law school because I needed it. I needed that association. And what I did was, when I was living in the brahmachari ashram, I was going on book distribution all the time. Faithfully going out on books, and it was amazing. It's the best experience of my life. I don't regret. I definitely do not regret, my time in the brahmachari ashram. So I did that for a year. And then Vishnu Siddha Prabhu pulled me aside. He said, you know what? He said, Prabhu, you are a lawyer. And he saw my nature. He saw that I probably wouldn't be a brahmachari the rest of my life. So he said, you know what? It's better you get married and look for a wife and start practicing law. You can actually do some seva, being a lawyer and So I started practicing law. That was 2 years ago. Yeah, so 2 years ago, I started practicing law. I was a prosecutor, putting people in jail. And what I would do is I would live in the brahmachari ashram. I would chant my rounds. I would go to work and come back and be with the brahmacharis. On the weekend, I would do book distribution. It's just, the thing is, you can, whatever position you are in Krishna consciousness, whether you're grihasa, brahmachari, vanapras, the point is just be with the devotees and chant Hare Krishna and just be serious. Ultimately, my nature wasn't suitable for the brahmachari ashram. I have a lot of material desires. And I talked to my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj, about this. I said, Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, I wanna be full-time devotee. However, I have so many material desires, what do I do? And he actually told me, he said, you know what? Guru Maharaj told me, he said, you continue being a lawyer. You know what? You continue being a lawyer. And, one thing is interesting. See, the pure devotee they can see the tree Kalagyan. They can see past, present, and future. And when I was telling Guru Maharaj this, he was saying like, use your reputation to bring people into Krishna consciousness. And he was saying, he told me there might be some instances where you speak on TV and some interviews, and people will, look up to you, and by that you can bring people into Krishna consciousness. And I first went over my head, but then I started thinking about it like, how does Guru Maharaj know this? How does Maharaj know that I'm gonna have a good reputation? How does he know that I'll have opportunities to speak on TV, all this stuff? But the pure devotee, he can see, he sees the nature of his disciples, and he can see how to guide them. So that's where I'm at now. Well, now I'm currently in Salem and just visiting. It's a beautiful temple, it's a beautiful place. And I encourage devotees to come visit this place. If you want to get the culture of Krishna consciousness, if you want to get the association of Krishna consciousness, if you want to get the best prasadam of Krishna consciousness, come to this Salem temple. It's a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So this is my experience in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. All glories to His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.